So you got into something that's a little bit interesting. And I know this is probably a better question for one of our other episodes, but Mark Zuckerberg's yacht fund with ads. I know that's so often the go-to for so many different businesses. SEO, though, it is a legitimate option for a lot of folks. Mm-hmm. Let's say we're dealing with a business that's effectively got a micro budget. They're talking like $200 that they can afford to spend every month. Would it be worth them going to a specialist that's willing to give them the light of day and say, okay, I'll take you $200. I'll do a little bit of work. Or would it be better for them to put that into meta advertising?
That really depends. I would say that it depends on whether or not you can actually get some qualified leads with that $200. If that's the case, you probably are better off just putting that money into ads initially until you can grow to the point that you can hire somebody for SEO. I would say another option would be just figuring it out, because sometimes it feels like, oh, I can't afford $1,000 a month. That's so much. But sometimes when you break it down, it depends on what your offer is. But a lot of times, a lot of the businesses that we talk to, they have higher ticket offers that are over $1,000. So let's say like a bathroom remodel, that could be $5,000 or $10,000. And so it might feel like, oh, I don't really have a marketing budget. But when you look at, if let's say you're a bathroom remodeler and you will get $5,000 coming in from just having one new client or customer that month, then it really becomes a no-brainer, because it's like, oh, so actually if I figure out a way to just get started and afford the $1,000 a month, as long as I'm getting at least one new client a month, which when you're at the top of Google, it's way more than that. But as long as you're getting at least one, you're already getting the ROI right away. And so sometimes it's more so about figuring out how you can afford it. But if you really are in a tight space, I think sometimes if you have a really small budget, sometimes just paying for those ads, as long as you can make an effective ad campaign to actually get an ROI on that small amount, that $200 a month, then I would say starting there and scaling up to the point that you can hire someone to do your SEO to get visibility that way. That would probably be a better strategy. But yeah, it really just depends on what your offer is. It depends on if you have been able to create a successful ad campaign with that low of a budget. And so, yeah, it's really individual. So I would say if someone watching this or listening to this is in that situation, to just book a call with us. We'd love to talk about what your actual situation looks like and how we could make it a win-win for you, whether that is through ads or SEO.
Right. Yeah, I heard a marketer once say that you want to find this really uncomfortable sweet spot, which is a funny way to describe it just in the first place. But you don't want to spend so little that you don't care that if it doesn't bring any return at all. But you also still want to be in a place where if you were to lose all of it, that the business is not going under.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, you got to balance on that awkward, but it's going to pay off eventually.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. And it is a balance, because you're right. You don't want to be in a position where this has to work for you. So SEO is one of many strategies to bring in leads. And we personally don't rely on one lead generation channel for our own company. And we don't recommend that for anyone else either. We think SEO can be your strongest lead generation bucket, but we definitely recommend that you have other buckets, whether that's making cold calls, maybe networking in person, cold email outreach, having social media campaigns. Like there's so many different ways, flyers in coffee shops, like door hangers. There's so many ways that you can bring in more leads into your business. So we always recommend that you have more than one channel, because you're right. You don't want to solely focus on like, okay, I'm putting all my money into SEO, and if it doesn't work, I'm bankrupt. Like you don't want to be in that situation.
Okay. So I'm going to put you on the spot. So I want you to tell me, in your personal estimation, top 3 forms of marketing. And we're going to take SEO out of it, so that no conflict of interest.
Okay. Because SEO is number one.
Obviously. Of course.
I'm a little biased. Top 3 forms of marketing. I think it depends on what company you're running and what your goal is. So is this like a national brand that you're growing?
You know what? I'm going to take advantage of this. This is my company. I run a media company. I do video projects for people. So I take a lot of leads, a lot of consultations, not a whole ton of jobs, but good paycheck for each of them.
Okay. I would say if we're taking SEO out of the picture, the 3 forms of marketing that I would recommend, which is hard because there's so many forms of marketing.
Oh, of course.
But number 1, I would say short form video content, and I would blast that to all channels. And SEO, unfortunately, is part of that, but I would learn SEO for that video content, because when you can optimize the videos, and that includes speaking keywords, because algorithms can read transcripts of what you're saying in the video, and they will rank your video and show it in news feeds based on other people's interests and what their algorithm has created for them on their own platform. So learning to optimize your video content with SEO. So that's, I think the main thing is just video content. And I would say publishing that on every platform that you can and optimizing it for each of those platforms. But then finding one that you really want to focus on growing and just kind of blast it out to the others, but find one that you really want to grow your community on, where your audience hangs out the most. So like for you, so I'm thinking like if you're trying to target younger generation, like obviously TikTok, Instagram, for you, maybe Facebook Reels, or maybe it's YouTube Shorts, like wherever it is that business owners are hanging out that you want to connect with, making that your really strong platform. So yeah, so short form video content would be the number one thing. And that would be for you specifically because you are a video agency.
Of course. Number
2, I would say, is email marketing. And I would actually say that email marketing is number 1 for everyone else who isn't selling video.
Really?
Yeah, email marketing. And I'm going to lump text marketing in with that too. Text marketing, SMS marketing tends to have a little bit higher, and depending on the industry, but it tends to have higher opening rates and higher conversion rates. That being said, email marketing will never go away. And maybe it will shift to completely text messaging at some point, but I don't see that anywhere on the horizon. Email marketing just has one of the highest, the amount of money that you can make per person on your email list is a lot higher than when you look at the amount of money you're likely to make per follower on any other given channel. So the value of a contact or a follower or subscriber on your email list is a lot higher than the other channels. And when you think about it, it's because you're in their inbox. So you are directly communicating with them like privately, one-on-one. And it's really hard to get someone's attention like that on all these other platforms where they're just scrolling and they're being bombarded with all these other messages from all their friends and their family and all these other companies that are trying to compete for their attention. When you're in their inbox, it's just you and them one-on-one. So I always recommend that people have an email marketing system in place where they're capturing emails and they're talking to them regularly. So that's number 2. Which for most people I would say is number 1, because I really think there's a lot of value in email marketing. Number 3, I would say in-person networking. And I think that is for anybody. Even if you're growing a national brand, maybe it's not in-person networking at your local chamber of commerce. Maybe that means going to big conventions so that you can meet other CEOs or meet other like bigwig companies that you're looking to work with, just depending on what your company is. To bring it back to you though, as a video marketer, I would say in person in your local community, because those are the people that you're trying to attract to come into your studio. So yeah, I think in person and getting referrals is always going to be a really solid, strong form of marketing. And I just don't think that's ever going to go away. I think word of mouth will always be the most powerful. It's just not the most scalable. So it's definitely something I recommend. I never recommend throwing that out. And if you get to the point that your company's so big, you just can't go to networking events anymore, hire someone to go for you and to represent your company, because having that presence in your community is really important.
It really is amazing just how much really gets done once your network is established.
Yeah, it's true.
It's huge.